what led to Millbridge?
Funny story is when me and my dad, we were driving down 150 one day, and there was a racetrack sign, overgrown weeds. It was closed at the time. I don't even know if there was a for sale sign or not. But I looked at my dad. This was before Jeremy was even around. And I looked at Dad and I said, we should buy a racetrack. We should buy that one. And he said, Ashley, you are crazy. You know how much work that is? And I said, I'll do it. And he said, no. So we laughed about it. And it's weird that I remember that story because then it's probably 5-10 years down the road that Jeremy came around and we got involved with Millbridge. It kind of fell in our lap. And it's been taken off ever since.
Now, Jeremy's also his background from a racing family. Jeremy's brother is Randall Burnett, who is Kyle Busch's crew chief.
Yep. Yeah, they were asphalt. Well, they were more of an asphalt late model racing family. So my first couple of asphalt late model races were with them. So, but obviously I wanted to go back to my dirt race, and I wasn't thrilled about the asphalt late model race. I don't like waking up early and having to go to the racetrack. So
there you go. So I'm assuming that the track back in St. Louis was dirt, right?
Yep.
What was the name of that track?
We did a lot of Belclair Speedway in Belleville, Illinois, I-55, Peebly, Missouri.
Okay.
And then there was a track on Sunday that we went to called St. Charles, which is not there anymore, and that was in Missouri as well. But Dad was really big into UMP modified, so we would go everywhere. We went anywhere, Paducah, Red Hill. So wherever there was a race, we went. So,
you were in the deep end.
We all went together.
Y'all were in the deep end.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's where the roots were sown, right? Like when you go, even if it was half joking, half serious, whatever it was, like, hey, look, we should buy a racetrack. At this point, and I don't know how old you were, but you're feeling like you could do this already. You've been at racetracks. You know what the ones that do it well, the ones that don't. You feel like you know that, right?
Yeah. Well, when you grow up in the Midwest, the racing is so much different than all over the United States, especially dirt racing. It is so different.
How so?
I know, and I know. Explain that, because I feel the same when we go out there.
I go everywhere. So I've been everywhere, really. Just the talent level, and then the way that they take care of their racetracks. I grew up going to Eldora and Tri-City and Peevely, and every one of them, they just take care of their facility. They roll a fast show. The dirt is so much better. I know that sounds weird to people.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The brown dirt is so much better than the red clay that we have here. So it produces better racing than what we have here with the red dirt.
It's true.
That makes total sense. And by the way, everything you just mentioned are the parts that I'm fascinated about, of like the concerns that a track owner must consider and deal with that we take for granted, frankly. We take for granted.
So like an asphalt track, obviously you just open the gates and go, with dirt, there's so much that goes into it. And we've even discussed trying to get brown dirt over here, all the Midwest dirt, and it was just so far away, and we would have to train it over, and it was like millions of dollars.
We became a bit educated on this when we were doing Lost Speedways, and I think it was actually when Metrolina went back and forth from dirt to pavement, and it was all about the Carolina red clay and how it was a bit problematic, and at least what some folks weren't used to. And so that is where you're right. That's a thing that you have to deal with here.
Yeah, there's no, when you watch Eldora or anything, the big tracks in the Midwest area, the brown dirt, just the dry slick and the good racing, the red clay does not get dry slick. It gets dusty. So it's like you have to work. The bigger cars, we were. It was better for us to have smaller cars, so it didn't affect it as much. We could get as much water as we needed in the track, but when there's big cars on the track, it's just impossible.
Experience the thrill of the racetrack like you're in the driver's seat with DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on your favorite racers and feel the rush of every pass, pit stop, and victory like never before. Right now, new customers can turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Bet 5 on anything to score big, no matter what goes down on the track. The stakes are high as the round of 8 kicks off this week in Las Vegas for the Cup Series. A win here for the playoff driver locks you into the Final Four. With so much on the line, tune in to Dirty Modo as they handicap the field and recommend bets to watch. With props, parlays, and more, There'll be action to follow all race long. The racing action doesn't stop until the checkered flag drops. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and join with code DJD. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's code DJD only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
I love this. You know, when we were at Pennsylvania at Lernersville a week or so ago, Wyatt, your son Wyatt was educating me on all of, like the very thing you're talking about. On you know, putting water in the track that had just had a big rain and all the implications that come with the big rain, right? You know all too well about it. And we want to know about it more. But Wyatt is, by the way, doing the Lord's work when it's coming to educating us about racetracks.
He's trying to spring them over to the dirt world.
Yes, he is. He's doing a good job.
World. Yeah. Yeah, so let's take it back to, you know, deciding and how, you know, the track came together at Millbridge. I know that you raced and we raced around other tracks that are in the area, the go-kart tracks here. So take us back to that and how that kind of came together.
So we had, with the SKE kart group, we traveled all around with SKE and QRC at the time, and Millbridge was one of our stops. We were just a series. I think we had 2 or 3 classes, the open class, the intermediate class, and then our box stock class. And at the time, the box stock class was just beginners. It didn't matter your age. We just wanted karts. So it was like I was racing Carson at 20-something years old, and she was, what?
9. 10. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was like I've never raced before, so they were like, well, we need a cart. So they threw me in a cart. And then I ran all season long. And it was funny because we were very competitive, me and Carson, together, and
even with the age difference and everything.
So Millbridge was one of our stops, and it was our favorite track. And in the middle of our season, they decided that the promoter didn't want to do it anymore, and it was going to be shut down until another promoter was found. Well, without me even around, Jeremy and 2 friends signed the lease, and he came home and said, I signed a lease on a racetrack today. I said, you did what?
Feels like that's a conversation that the husband and wife ought to have.
You would think. And he said, yeah, we signed a lease on Millbridge. I said, I'm not working at your racetrack. I said, I want nothing to do with that. And he said, okay. And I said, all right. And him and 2 friends got ready for their first race, and the 2 friends said, that's a lot of work, you think? So I said, well, if they're not going to put in the work, it's going to just be us. So we kind of made that it was just us. So they signed everything over to Jeremy and I, and we had no equipment. We had no idea. My husband, he's not a farmer, had no idea about tractors or graders. I mean, we grew up around dirt tracks, but we didn't know how to prep a racetrack, and we just learned from the beginning. I mean, we basically got thrown out there, and we figured it out.
This sounds like a husband thing. I can relate. I do that same thing to my wife, actually.
It sounds like some things I've heard before, too.
Yes. This is familiar. God bless you all.
It was a lot of learning, but I wouldn't take back another day. I mean, it was it's a lot of learning. When you go in there and have to learn what equipment you need, and you don't have money to buy a grader or a tractor or a water truck, or it didn't come with a lot of things, so we had to make what we could with what we had.
Well, expand on that. Let's see here. What's the first thing when you acquire a racetrack, a dirt track, let's be specific, what's the number one thing you guys realized you needed?
Well, I mean, the number one thing, you need a water truck, but if you want to make it smooth, you need a grader. And then if you want to get the water in the dirt, you got to have a tiller on a tractor. And so it was like every year or every couple months, we would just throw all of our money back in just to get to where we're at. And there was times where I remember walking up from the gate just crying because I'd go down and say, how many people are here? And there'd be 90 people in there. And it's like, oh, I need 100 people to pay my bills. Like, not, so it was tough for the first couple of years. I was like, I don't want to do this. I didn't care about the money situation. I didn't want to lose money. Yeah. But obviously nobody wants to work for nothing for who knows how long. So it was a tough couple, probably the first 2 seasons of trying to trying to get acquired and get people to come. And at that time, we still only had probably, 5 box stocks?
Yeah,
and
the car count was
20 cars.
Yeah, that's
tops.
what I was going to say, 25, 40 cars. Now, this is 2011-ish. Is that when you guys started leasing? 2012?
Well,
or earlier than that?
Yeah, because
I was just going to ask, like, alongside, I mean, I remember you guys having different jobs and other jobs. Did you have to kind of keep that? Like, what was that like?
At first, yes.
Yeah.
Jeremy is grateful that his father had left him with a telecommunications business. So we have the telecom business. I was a massage therapist at the time, so I was doing a lot of sports massage for a lot of the race teams. So I kept on with the massage stuff because I had to have a job. And I don't know, I probably went 5-6 years of working different jobs and stuff before we're completely now both of us full-time at Millbridge.